Community, it's good to see you. It's always a pleasure to meet this way. I'm Brad. I'm one of the pastors here on staff. If we have not had a chance to meet in person yet, nice to meet you. Glad you guys are joining us for our daily Bible reading. If you want these sent directly to your email every single morning, then you can go to findcommunity.com/Bible reading. Sign up real quick, and we can rock and roll like this every single day. And so today we are in the book of Acts, chapter 26. We're going to start in verse 12. And before I jump in and read it, just a little bit of context. This is Paul telling his own story, his journey, part of his life to a person named King Agrippa. And so this is what it says starting in verse 12. On one of these journeys, I was going to Damascus with the authority and commission of the chief priests. About noon, King Agrippa, as I was on the road, I saw a light from heaven, brighter than the sun, blazing around me and my companions. We all fell to the ground, and I heard a voice say to me in Aramaic, "Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? It is hard for you to kick against the goads." Then I asked, "Who are you, Lord?" "I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting," the Lord replied. "Now get up, stand on your feet. I have appeared to you to appoint you as a servant and as a witness of what you have seen and will see of me. I will rescue you from your own people and from the Gentiles. I am sending you to them to open their eyes and turn them from darkness to light and from the power of Satan to God, so that they may receive forgiveness of sins and place among those who are sanctified by faith in me. So then, King Agrippa, I was not disobedient to the vision from heaven. First to those in Damascus, then to those in Jerusalem and in all Judea, and then to the Gentiles. I preached that they should repent and turn to God and demonstrate their repentance by their deeds. As I read this passage, I had two major thoughts. The first thought was, this is Paul sharing about his experience with the gospel of Jesus. Not like just his experience, so like, oh yeah, I know about this. This is a chance for us to peer into the radical life change that had happened because of the gospel of Jesus. And Paul identifies a couple of specific things that Jesus talked to him about in this conversation. The first one is that he was telling Paul, like, dude, you thought you were serving God. But now I'm going to appoint you. Now you're really going to be a man on a mission. You thought you had it figured out. You thought you were doing the right thing. No. Now you're going to be on that right track. Another thing that he identifies is, look, man, Paul, I'm going to send you to the Jews and the Gentiles. You're going to be commissioned. This message, you are going to try and spread throughout the known world. The third thing that he identified with Paul was that he is going to see the stories of people firsthand go from darkness to light. Like Paul was going to be a part of that. He's going to be an instrument of seeing life changed because of the gospel of Jesus. And so Paul looks back and tells the king, look, man, I have witnessed this happen. I've seen it firsthand. I'm seeing it happen still. I'm a man on a mission. And so the story of our lives, my life and your life, Paul's life, our experience with God, like that is the most powerful device we have at our disposal for other people to witness the realness of God in this world. For us to be able to share with somebody else, I had a life-transforming encounter with a very real and loving God. I went from living in darkness to living in light. Like I experienced this. You don't need a clever gimmick or a party trick to create conversation. You have your story. You have your own story, your own experience with God. The best thing you can do as it relates to your story is to just be honest about it. to just be able to say, like, I had this victory, I had this loss. And Paul's story is Paul's story. Your story is your story. My story is my story. God's not surprised by it. And whatever your story says, God can use it so that others can come into contact with his saving grace. He can use it to bring people who are living in darkness to living in light. The second thought I had as I was reading this passage is, it's not just that your story exists, but other people have a story as well. It's not always about our own story. Sometimes I get narrow tunnel vision and I think, oh, it's just about my story. But that's not true. And if you read the rest of the chapter, you'll notice that on this particular day, no one's mind changed to follow Jesus. Not Festus, not King Agrippa. In fact, Paul sharing his story wasn't enough to even release him as a prisoner. But here's the thing. Paul wasn't offended when others didn't believe his experience with God. In fact, Paul's response to these people was to say, look, I'm praying for you to become everything he is except chained. But Paul didn't shy away from the moment. And I say that thinking about tons of missed opportunities of me being able to share my story, or just as important, to be able to create a moment where I can listen to someone else's story. I've got tons of moments of those running through my head. Here's the beauty about our stories. None of us are the same. We all have different experiences, family backgrounds. We've made different choices to all get us here to this very moment. But the one thing we do have in common, with whatever the background is, whatever our experiences, whatever our decisions have been, the one thing we have in common is our story. It's my story, your story, God's story. That's the one thing we have in common, and it binds us together. It makes us distinctly human, made in the image of God. And the reason this is an essential piece of the rhythm puzzle that we've been talking about for the last few weeks is because our story is important. Your story is important. Other people's stories are important. So this week, don't just look for an opportunity to share your story. That might happen. But look for an opportunity to hear someone else's story. Maybe begin practicing this rhythm by listening to a family member's day without interrupting, or just wanting them to finish so that you can share your day or your story or whatever happened to you. But actually sit with them in that moment as they share about their day, as they share their story with you. We love you guys. We will see you soon. We hope to join you Sunday at 9:15 a.m. or at 11 a.m. for our online services. We've got pastors there ready, willing, excited to chat with you. Like I said, we love you guys. We can't wait to see you. Have a great rest of your day.